is KC Sports Network, proudly presented by Emprise Bank.
All right, folks, what's good? Another episode, Ain't No Seats podcast, and it's a big one. We are fresh off one of the big, and we'll talk more about this, but I think it's one of the biggest regular season Kansas football wins of all time, maybe the biggest home win in Kansas football history. We are fresh off Kansas beating number 6 OU. Let's see. I pulled up a tweet here. It snapped a 26-year losing streak to Oklahoma. Is that right? Yeah, that is
97.
Yeah, 97. I'm having a rough time comprehending that was 26 years ago. That was why I double took that. But it's KU's first top 10 win since 2008. And they get its first top 10 win in Lawrence since 1984. So it was a wild, wild, wild football game, but the vibes have never been higher for a Kansas football team as they currently are right now, or at least in a long time. So I'll start with you, B-Turn. We were there. We were watching together. It was a roller coaster of emotions. How you feeling?
Yeah, it's wild because I'm sitting there thinking, like, there's no way we should ever lose this game. And then it went from how the hell did we win that game? Jason Bean completes the pass on 4th and 6 to Lawrence Arnold, and the booth was still super loud, even though a lot of fans had to leave. I guess didn't have to leave, but left during the weather delay. So the crowd was still great. And yeah, what a win. I'm not shocked. Like this, I feel like years ago, like when we beat Texas with Beatty, you make the KU beat Texas jokes forever, but that was when KU football was a joke, and now just feels legit, and they're going to compete every week. So I wasn't shocked, obviously super pumped. But Kansas, I think AV tweeted about it, but Kansas was better than OU, like flat out better. The entire game, OU didn't play mad at all. KU was just better, and they were the team that deserved to win, and they ended up winning the game.
Yeah, it's crazy that we laugh at how in the world did we win the game, but also if you really go back and look, we should have won that game much easier than we did. AB, I'll kick it to you. You were watching from the warmth of your home, which I am, in hindsight, not that jealous of, but I was very jealous throughout that entire game. Give me some of your takes. You said you've got some takes, but throw them all out. Yeah.
No. My biggest one is, I don't know if it says more about KU or Oklahoma, but I feel like every time we play teams like Oklahoma, Texas, they just look like different human beings than the guys in the KU uniforms. Yesterday didn't really look like that. And that might say a lot about Oklahoma too. They got a lot of dorky looking dudes on the team, but it wasn't like a mismatch physically. And the other thing, KU didn't even play that well. Like they did enough to win, but God, look at how many mistakes they made, especially late in the game. And to still be able to pull out a game against the top 10 team, playing your B or B minus game, like it just the ceiling is the roof, as Michael Jordan would say. It's kind of crazy to backup quarterback, so many mistakes, and they still beat a team that was in playoff contention with the Heisman front runner ish going into yesterday morning.
It really is crazy, and B-Turn, I meant to go back and watch the fourth quarter and just ran out of time today, but I kind of think of the game as almost like 3 parts, where it's or maybe even 4 quarters, but no, not like that. But it's the beginning of the game, the weather's pretty nice. We're all looking around like, wow, we got lucky. Pretty nice weather here. Pick 6 early, Booth, going absolutely bananas. We're up 14-0. You feel really, really good. And then we have the forward progress call, which insane. I'll let you probably talk about that, B-Turn, because you were talking about it for 4 straight hours after it happened. But then you have the delay. OU gets a little momentum because of that call. You have the delay. And so fresh out of the delay is part 2 of the game, where OU kind of starts to take a little bit of control. They head into the half with a lead. And then the third quarter is a blur. I don't remember anything about it. But the fourth quarter is one of the craziest quarters of football that I've ever witnessed. So we'll get to all that. But I want to start at that forward progress call, B-Turn, or maybe even start with what was your mindset as we're up 14-0, looking like we're about to get the ball back, if they call that correctly, and instead it's immediately 14-7, and then, like I said, by the time we're down at half. So, I don't know. Talk me through what your confidence level went from down to what after all that happened.
Yeah, because OU had been making mistakes early. Gabriel obviously threw the pick six. Our offense was moving it, so they obviously handed it off up the middle, and we force a fumble. Craig Young picks it up, and the crazy thing is, I don't know if I'm right here, but it looks like Craig Young could have scored on that play. He picked it up and literally ran to the outside, the right sideline, and looked like he could have scored. But yeah, it looked like the running back was still moving forward. It's tough from the game to really say that. At home, you're going to hear the announcers, you're going to hear everyone talk through it, whatever. But the video looked like the running back was still moving forward. The O-line was pushing him forward. The ball was clearly out. We clearly recovered it. But I got on the live with Kent after the game, and he said kind of watching it more, maybe it was forward progress, but other people said they blew the whistle after the ball was already out. So I don't know. That was tough because, like I said, we had been moving the ball. It was 14-0, would have been our ball. If we put a drive together there, you're starting at the 5 or whatever, you're taking off a ton of time. And it just felt like it killed the momentum. And then there's 7 free points for OU. So I don't, AB, I'm sure you have more since you watched it from home, but like Ryan said, I couldn't get over that play. And if we would have lost, I'd still be talking about it.
Yeah. I mean, AB, were you raging? Were you live when that all happened? Were you melting down about that call, or was it wasn't until really, I mean, obviously I boo in the crowd if the crowd thinks we got screwed, but it's not really until I see what Twitter is saying until I really form my opinions. And it was concerning when everyone on Twitter, let's be honest, my Twitter couldn't be more Homer KU, but it was even OU fans were wow, that was a bad call. And so was it clear at home on TV that it was a bad call, or did they just kind of brush by it?
It wasn't super clear. They did talk about it on the broadcast, and they brought in Blandino, which, by the way, those referee analysts are always wrong. They've never been right once when they come on and tell you what it's going to happen. But they said it was kind of a 50-50. It's just a gray area kind of thing. But when I saw it, they kept saying the whistle blowing is what matters. The swipe strip and ball was out before the whistle blew. So that's when I got really, really frustrated. But it wasn't that call. The call that made me the most upset was there were two. They kind of go together. The Craig Young late hit they called.
Same drive as the fumble.
Yeah. Drake Stoops is tiny. He didn't even think about falling over in the rain on a sloppy sideline. It's he escorted him out of bounds. It was so soft. It was literally the softest thing I've ever seen. But to follow that up, and I'm sure we're going to talk about Bean sliding at the inch yard line because that's just an outrageous move. They called targeting. How is that not just a late hit in general? The guy didn't hit Bean until he was 2 yards into the end zone. And it's if you're going to call that soft shit on the sideline with Drake Stoops earlier in the game, you'd think the quarterback would get protected when he clearly gives himself up. That's where they're spotting the ball. And 2 yards later, he gets smoked. So to me, when they were reviewing the targeting, everyone's like, Bean, what an idiot. I was sitting there even if it's not targeting, you have to call something because that's the most blatant, latent cheap shot I had ever seen, ever. But
yeah, because if they don't call that targeting and they don't call late hit, like you said, now we laugh at it, but had it been a turnover on downs, it's
because I wouldn't have had confidence on 4th and goal from the half-yard line. I had no confidence inside the 10 all day.
I remember the moment
in
the crowd and Alan standing behind us. And it looks like he could freaking cartwheel into the end zone. And our whole little group just starts going nuts. And me and Beats are just turn to each other and we're like, no, he slid. And we're telling him all to stop going crazy. I've never seen that. That was Montel Cozart fumbling a spike type bad, but it was in a massive football game. And I don't know. I mean, I feel like we're on a weird tangent here with officiating and the bad parts, but it was just, I think the overall point is it was just a crazy, crazy football game. I couldn't even, was the Bean slide in third quarter, fourth quarter? I don't even know. Like I said.
And what down was it? Was it going to be 4th and inches at the 1? What do you think our play call is there on 4th and inches at the 1? And do we score?
No.
But yeah, like where I said,
1-9 on 4th downs. I think we were at least heading into that. I guess now we're not because Bean converted on big play, but yeah, go ahead.
We were behind KU's sideline, so where they were going in the end zone, everything's blocked by the O-line, and it just feels and Bean's fast as hell. We saw that on the touchdown run. It just feel, like you said, a clear path to the end zone. Everyone basically was cheering, like you said. And then, yeah, me and Rye, oh my God, that hurt. And then, yeah, the penalty came. But like, it should have been 2 penalties, it sounds like. I think that someone was saying that it was a bad call, that it shouldn't have been targeting or something because
It wasn't
slid and yeah.
He fucking launched his whole body at him.
And it's like
just the Jason Bean experience, like overall, is just incredible. Because obviously Stillwater, haven't talked about that game. It still hurts me. It will hurt me for a long time, I think. But he was the best QB I've ever watched for 34 minutes. He had like 400 passing yards and 5 passing touchdowns, and then he turned it over twice in the second half. And then, yeah, this same game, you feel like you should win. We did win, but felt like we should run away with it, maybe put it away. He turns it over twice late in our own territory. One was close to midfield. I don't know where we were, but it's just wild. But he balls out too. He makes huge plays. He makes the 4th and 6 throw to Arnold, and he ripped it right to him. And then, yeah, the touchdown run was nuts. Perfect read by him. He kept it, took off, scored. And AB, I guess let's talk about Bean a little more after I ask you this, but how bad were the 2-point conversions by KU? The one, he was wide open in the back of the end zone. Bean just threw it into the dirt. But 0 for 3 on 2-point conversions where we could have went up like a full touchdown on both or all 3.
Yeah, it was real. I was at the point where I was really annoyed because Oklahoma wasn't getting them either. And there was a point as a football fan where I watched these guys try and throw these crazy fade patterns and miss wide open dudes, and I'm watching both teams run for like 6 yards a carry. I'm like, just run the ball. And then KU tried to run the ball, got tackled for a loss of like 17 on the play. But yeah,
you're gonna run it.
It was just, it made the whole fourth quarter feel like no one was ever comfortable. That may sound stupid to say, but like, if you're up 7 points, you don't want overtime. You still want to stop. It's not the end of the world, and neither team could ever figure that out. It was bizarre.
It really was a weird, like, and I feel like Bean was definitely, the pressure was getting to him. It was very clear, which I then think was making it very hard for Kotelnicki to probably run the playbook he wanted to run, because it's like, the crowd saying, run the ball, go back to Wildcat. But, I mean, like B-Turn said, you see those moments where Jason Bean is just slinging the ball around the field. He looks like a freaking pro NFL quarterback. So it's like, he's just I don't know how I tweeted that he's the worst quarterback I've ever seen, but I think a better way to like almost describe him is I genuinely do not know if somebody has a bigger gap between the floor they can have during a game and the ceiling that they can have during the game, right? Like his peak at times is unbelievable, but 3 drives later, he can look like the legitimate worst quarterback you've ever seen on a football field. And I think that's why, we didn't want to come on here and like make it sound like we're slandering Jason Bean. I think part of the reason it's so frustrating is because we know how good he can be. And it feels like the mistakes he makes, the interceptions he throws are more of like a mental thing, a focus thing than it is a talent thing at all. So the Jason Bean experience is unlike any experience in the world. Like,
yeah, like the last drive, the game winner, or the drive to put us ahead. Obviously, he utilized his legs. He obviously made that throw to Arnold, but yeah, it feels like the pressure sometimes gets to him. But like you said, there's instances where he just looks incredible. I remember one when he's rolling out right, he slings it to Grimm on the sideline, and that was a huge play too. I think that ended up being like a 30-yard penalty on Oklahoma. It was like a personal foul, and then maybe Venables got a penalty. Yeah,
bench.
Like it's just first read, he just goes. So I was on 4th and 6. I don't know how you guys felt, but I was like, "There's no way." Felt like 4th and 1 again, and Stillwater, and I was like, "There's no way."
Let's be honest. Our group was a negative. Vibes were negative. Vibes were not good. Alan just kept saying, "Wait, were you? Oh, you weren't even there." Everyone's being so negative. B-Turn stormed off and went to a different section of the.
He's like the cheerleaders. Did he go to a different section every quarter?
I want to say, before we keep going in on Bean, I do want to say our defense, because Oklahoma, and like AB said, they always have studs, elite athletes. All they needed was 1 first down. That game's over. And I think they forced like a 3rd and 12 or something. And they were actually lined up on 4th to go. I don't know if they were going to go actually, but that stop by the defense that obviously helped KU win the game. You get a first down, it's over. So yeah, I thought the defense was really good. Gabriel, I know conditions were tough, but they got a pick 6. He wasn't really super effective through the air. I know they ran it effectively for a while, but that stop by the defense was massive.
Yeah, I mean, especially in a moment like I was just saying, like the crowd was not, there was no hope that we were going to get a stop there. Like it felt very much like that second pick in a row was the ender. Like it just felt like that was it. There's no way we can get the ball back. And defense was some of the only people inside that entire place that had hope of us still getting a stop and getting the ball back. I don't know how I feel about, I thought Venables was bad. And
I'm glad you brought him up. I have so many things to say.
I think I saw, I think we're going to take a quick break here, but so we can think about it and come back and talk about Venables. But yeah, I think they only threw like 19 times and very, very conservative in times where it felt like they could have just gone out and won it. But let's talk home field and we'll come back and we'll do a little talk about Venables OU. But all right, boys, home field. I'm not even going to pull up the ad read. I'm just going to talk because we do this every week. We love them. They're the GOATs. They're the best. I say it all the time. If you're looking for different, unique KU gear, there's absolutely no other place you should be looking other than homefieldapparel.com. On top of that, if you're looking for apparel for your wife, your girlfriend, your friend for Christmas, we got Christmas coming up. Sneaking up. Go to home field. They're a Missouri fan. The Missouri stuff's good. The K-State stuff's good. What's the school I always reference? Idaho?
Yeah. The Vandals.
The Vandals, their stuff's electric. I mean, home field, they're just phenomenal. They take the absolute best possible designs they could and that the schools used in the past, and they turn it in to great merch that fans have been asking for years and years and years. So we love home field. Go to homefieldapparel.com. Give them a look. We promise you will not regret it. Here's a quick break, and we will be right back.
Thanks for listening to KC Sports Network. Make sure you download our new app. Find it on the App Store or Google Play. Just search KC Sports Network.
Okay, so AB, I guess my takes on Venables were like, felt like he was almost playing scared to death to lose that game. Like at the end of the first half, we were all mad Lance used that timeout, and Venables just comes out and kneels the ball, or runs. I can't even remember what they did, but here's the thing about Venables is when I am the opposing fan and I'm always happy with the decision the other coach is making, I feel like that tells you a lot. And I was always happy that Venables was either not going for it or not trying to get a first down or like things like that. So I don't know that I was shocked at how kind of conservative he played, but maybe that's a testament to KU and how like truly scared he was of losing that game. But what are your takes?
It just didn't make sense. Like, it's like when the lightning delay happened, he got struck by lightning and lost all of his aggressiveness. Honestly, I just went back and looked to make sure I wasn't seeing things. There were the first 2 possessions, he went for it on 4th down twice. He felt more open through the air. Lightning delay happens. He runs it 17 times in a row, very effectively, of course, but I don't know if you guys were aware of that at the game. They kept mentioning that on the broadcast. And then once the delay gets over, he just stops being aggressive. You mentioned right before halftime, that was insane to me. There was another time, I have it written down here, 8 minutes left in the 4th quarter. They're down 32-27.
Yeah.
There is 8 minutes to go up. So 3rd and 6, they run like a QB draw for 2 or 3 yards. So it's 4th and 3, 4th and 4 at midfield, and he punts the ball. To me, and it obviously, Bean then throws the pick, OU scores, didn't really matter. But in the moment, it's like, you're down more than a field goal with 8 minutes to go against a team that loves to run the ball. There are a few first downs away from this being over, and you're punting.
Yeah, exactly.
It didn't make any sense. Right, exactly. Yeah. Every time, and even I wanted them to go for it on 4th and 7 before they got the delay of game or false start or whatever it was at the end of the game before the game-winning drive. Yeah. Because maybe it's just me remembering Oklahoma teams from years past. I'm horrified of their offense, and I'm horrified of our defense when those two go against each other. I thought they were for sure getting the 4th and 7, and then just a mental blunder in that spot to me almost comes down to coaching too. Like, yeah. I don't know.
You didn't even let that be a possibility of happening.
Right.
If they were really, I don't even know. Are we 100%? I never saw a post game. Were they really going to go for it there? Did anyone ask him that?
I
don't think there's any way.
But like, what else were they going to do? They're at the 33-yard line or something.
Yeah, but then you give. I think it was around that, but then I guess before the penalty.
Yeah. But then the question is like
4th and 7. But then if you don't get it though, like I feel like 4th and 2 or 4th and 3 would be different. If you don't get it, and KU's going to get the ball at like the 40 and have to go. I know our field goal unit's not bad, but they only would have had to go like 50, 40 yards or so.
I know.
But then you pin KU. I don't know. I don't think we would have went. I think I would be mad if we went for it. But yeah, it's kind of no man's land. The thing before the half, that was weird to me too. Obviously, conditions were weird, and it was tough. So you probably had to throw the ball. But why not run the ball on first and maybe get a drive starter going, feel out a drive, and then try to go get points or something. But yeah, that was something.
That's almost what they did though. They ran it for like 8 or 9 yards on first down before the half, and then they took the knee.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like the guy ran out of bounds, I think, or got tackled on the sideline. But they definitely ran a play. It wasn't very aggressive, but I mean, if you got one more yard, are they going to kneel on 1st and 10? Like, the downs don't really matter at that point.
I feel like the fact if they would have actually been planning to go for it on that 4th down, to me, if you're them, you're thinking if we pin Bean inside the 10-yard line, 15, even the 15-yard line, after seeing what he had just done the last 2 possessions, you're sitting there saying, there's no shot that guy does that. Instead, well, and I don't know. I mean, the punters still didn't have a good punt, but I don't know. It's crazy. I don't want to spend too much time on Venables, but I just wanted to make sure we were on the same page of like, that guy felt like he was terrified. And maybe that is how good Lance and this team has become, but like, he was very much not playing to win that game. He was just praying he was going to sneak out without losing. And I don't know. We'll see how OU does the rest of the season. I think they maybe, they're still very good, but I don't think they're maybe quite what we thought they were, but doesn't take anything away from KU. But any other takes on that before we can go ahead, B-turn?
I just think the crazy thing to me is like we were sitting there questioning what the weather or who the weather would benefit. And I feel like years ago, like we would have just got pounded on the ground. Like we would have, when it was 21-17 or whatever, they took the lead, or 21-14, we would have just got blown out. Like we would have lost by 3, or old KU would have lost by 3-4 scores, but we were able to just move the ball effectively, go hat on hat with OU and run the ball on them at will. Like 41 for 225 and 4 rushing touchdowns. Crazy about that. And that's another play we haven't talked about, Abe, is Highshaw's touchdown on the phantom hold on Reed Adams. That was 20 or 30 more yards, and that would have been touchdown number 3 for Highshaw.
And essentially the game. Like,
yeah.
That was so crazy.
Yeah, well, that would have been 5 touchdowns, 3 for Highshaw. So yeah, the rain benefited us, I would say. And that's wild to me to say KU was better than OU in the rain. The weather.
How much of that did you guys see, that holding call on Reed Adams?
We couldn't tell. I mean, we saw the replay and immediately raged, and I think we were also on Twitter raging about it.
Felt like the D-back kind of like just turned his back to Reed Adams and just gave up.
It's kind of what it looked like. Plus, it was a much bigger fellow blocking a much smaller fellow, and that's just always going to look illegal. But it's
when I got home and really looked at it, it made me even more mad. Like if we would have lost that game, that and the forward progress. I mean, this pod. Well, we wouldn't have done the pod. Let's be honest. We'd be an absolute meltdown. The week back there in Chiefs and. So
it felt late. It felt like a late call. I don't know what the commentators said about it, but that didn't feel like a hold.
Yeah, they were kind of 50. They were kind of 50-50 and said the same thing we kind of just did, that it looked like the guy was turning himself, but I don't know. It looked like a hold, but I don't think it was a hold. Was my final thought on it.
And then we left a 40-yard field goal short.
Oh my god.
Yeah, we gotta talk about that whole. Or I guess let's just talk about.
We recover the kickoff.
Let's just talk about the fourth quarter. Yeah. So, like, at what point?
Let's do it.
At what point does Bean slide? Nick, if you have that info, is that in the fourth quarter? Is that in the third quarter? I'm just trying to think of when chaos starts to ensue. Does it start I think it maybe starts on their fumbled kickoff where we get the ball inside the 20.
Uh-huh.
And again, it reminded me of that Oklahoma State game where we have the ball in the red zone, and it feels very much like I think did we have 30? Or I don't know. It feels like if Bean scores there, we are running away with that Oklahoma State game. Instead, he throws a just terrible pick, and we all know what happens. KU doesn't score again, and Oklahoma State wins the game. This time we were starting to have those flashbacks. We're inside the 20, and you just feel, okay, we score here. We're very much in control of this game. And instead, the holding call happens, and then I don't even remember. How did we end up? Oh, do we run it on second and third, or do we pass on second and third and then miss the field goal?
I got it. Highshaw penalty, run for 3, incomplete, run for 1. We ran on 3rd and 15.
Get into field goal range, yeah. Try to get into better, yeah. And he left was it online, AB, the field goal, or was it never?
It was left too.
Yeah, I heard.
I mean, it looked like it could. It was one of those where it's like, just hang on, and then clearly.
Right when he kicked it, I remember Peter just yells, "He didn't even get there!"
Oh my god, we recovered. Where did we start the drive? Because I called them dropping the kickoff. I thought we were due for a break, and the guy was like stumbling around and it just looked awkward. And we recovered it. I think we started at the 20. We had to.
Yeah,
because the hold.
That guy was a defensive end, by the way. That muffed that.
If we get, if we punch it in,
he looks terrified.
There's just multiple instances in this game and in Stillwater where we could have scored, put the game away. The one in Stillwater, I don't really know what to say about the calls there, but we were up 2 inside the 30. We score there, you're up 9. That's 2 scores. And then, the Highshaw run, and that could have probably put it away. I know I'm not going to say 2 scores is insurmountable, but that to not get any points there and start at the 20 and you don't even turn the ball over just hurt. But all this stuff went against KU and they found a way to win. And I was telling Kent, like, when's the last time we really won a tight, at least league game like this? Was it like West Virginia, which we were down like the whole game? We came back, we kept being down 14. Nevada's obviously not in the league, but that game was close this year. But it was just a weird game. But we hadn't really won any tight games. Even the conference game we won last year was Oklahoma State with Rangel. Texas and Austin.
Yeah, that one is a tight one, but
we needed to win a close one, and that gives some confidence going forward.
And like, we either dominated teams, or we had not dominated, but like very much were in control, or had the Texas game, and then we lose the Oklahoma State game, which is just brutal. But so that starts a string of just chaos, like I said, and we missed the field goal. It is what it is. That's a
didn't even get it there.
Just an awful swing, though. Like, that's the type of thing that you look back on a loss and just it makes you bang your head against the wall, because you're like, you go from thinking you're about to knock it in for 7 at or 3 worst case, and instead they have the ball, they have all the momentum, and I think they then come down and score. Correct?
No, they punted. They went 3 and out.
So this starts the Bean.
Or not 3 and out. But
is this when Bean throws his first pick that gets deflected?
Yeah.
And
was that just blanket coverage and a bad decision, or was it both and just a bad throw?
Yeah, all of them. It was it. I don't want to say too much. I don't want to be too negative.
He knows who he's throwing.
We're going to get very positive here in a bit. I just wanted to talk through all this.
Can I
legitimately could not keep it all straight.
Can I ask you one question?
In this moment, who are we picking?
AB, can I ask you just one quick question, quick answer? On the second 2-point conversion to Cardell, when he just literally snapped it, stared him down, was that an obvious penalty on OU? Or remember Cardell, the 2-point conversion, at the start of the end zone, it looked like he was just draped by the D-backs.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't remember, to be honest with you.
We were pretty sensitive in the crowd because of how mad we were about all the other stuff. So it is always hard to tell. If it's like Allen Fieldhouse when it's angry, it's like everything is a bad call. So it's hard. But I don't know. I don't know if I remember that one either. But
I was getting really negative about Bean. I was taking notes on my phone during the game, and after that first pick, I started writing I was a mess.
It was
if KU ends up losing, this is the most deflating Kansas football season of my life, which feels impossible,
dude.
But
because
if we would have lost both Oklahoma games to Oklahoma teams this year, that there's no way we should have lost both. I think personally we should have won both. But if we would have found a way to lose both of those, and then we're 5-3 3 and our whole fan base is worried about getting another win to go to a bowl game, like there's no way we should have lost both. I'm glad they found a way to go 1-1 because we were the better team, I felt like, in both games.
I was telling my brother today, like that, if we lose that game, like if Bean comes out again and throws like a third pick, I truly think that is a game that like could deflate an entire season. Like I think it's one that maybe you never recover from. And
I can't stop laughing at the drive where he threw the pick on the screenplay. And the first play of that drive, he just absolutely threw it right in the numbers to the defender. And all of our faces are like, what is he doing?
Imagine us so mad about the kickoff thing and all that, but in the missed field goal, but like imagine being an OU fan. Like they also, that's what was so nuts about the fourth quarter. It was just awful play after awful play. And yeah, I think that was what made the Bean stuff was so frustrating because he gets away with one. He throws it right to him. And he gets away with one and you're like, oh, okay. Wow. That was back throw, but we get it back. We're fine. Compose yourself. And then next play, bing, right off the guy's hands, right into the other guy's hands. Feels like we're in a really tough spot. They score the touchdown where we miss. I mean, we have Gabriel sacked in the backfield, don't we, essentially? And we miss the tackle and he scores. And then Bean comes right back out and
we got to midfield, right?
I don't even remember.
Yeah. On the screen to Neil and AB, I didn't see it very well, but how much room did Dev have there if the D lineman or he got it over the D lineman? I heard like he could have scored or would have been a big time pickup.
Wait, which one?
Devin Neal on the screen.
Oh, on the interception? I thought you were talking about like one of the plays before where he flipped one over the top to Bean and he ran for like 10 yards.
No, like the screen was...
The interception, I mean, yeah, it was really that lineman in front of him and Neal had 2 or 3 guys right there to block and lead away. So, I mean, like, the play call, I guess, worked, but the end just read it like a book.
It was just like, it was so... To have it happen, like, to be where the crowd is that uncomfortable as we were and that stressed about Bean as we were, to then throw an interception to a fat lineman was just the most worst possible scenario. And like I said, I mean, B-turn, I thought you just went home.
Well, I was walking around the bowl and I just, obviously in the back of my head, I know we have 3 timeouts, but I'm listening to Brian Haney talk and I just hear, and the defense stops him again. It's 3rd and 12. And so I found myself in the student section and for the 4th and 7, I was nervous.
By the way, that is directly across from where we were sitting.
Yeah, I was taking laps because I still needed a way to get home no matter what. Kane and them stayed. But yeah, the 4th and 7, I guess we can get back to that play. That's kind of a tough down and distance, especially in those conditions, not being able to throw. But yeah, the 4th and 7, I was still nervous. And then we get the ball back. And for Bean to have the composure or whatever you want to call it to complete that pass on the 4th and 6 after he just threw back-to-back picks is huge. Like I would have thought he'd freak out, evade the pocket, throw it away or take a sack or try to run and slide short, but he just zips it to Arnold and that place went nuts. But that's just massive. Like we've talked about Bean, he shouldn't be in these situations regardless. Like we were blessed he came back. And I think it was Mason Fairchild yesterday how Bean was on the fence about leaving and they were begging him to come back. Like, Jason, come on, like come back one more year. Like we got a lot of momentum going forward. And so, yeah, he shouldn't even be in these situations, but look what he's done. Like they go into Stillwater, he throws for 400 plus, 5 touchdowns. We had a chance to win. And then they, like you said, arguably won the biggest regular season game in KU history at home after making all those mistakes and still being able to beat Oklahoma in the end.
Can I ask you this, Braiden?
Yes.
I asked Ryan earlier. Doctor comes up on Wednesday and says, JD's good to go. He can play. I know we all would put JD in. Does Lance put JD in? Because, I mean, on the surface, and I was trying to say it, on the surface, it's almost diabolical to pull the starting quarterback for someone else after beating a top 10 team. Like, doesn't really happen. Not a lot of opportunity for it to happen. Weird scenario we have. I would start JD. Do you think Lance will just switch back whenever he's healthy, or is it Jason?
Yeah, like a Dak Prescott, Tony Romo situation. I like Dak was good, but yeah, I'll let you answer return because I already gave AB my answer. But I'm curious what you said.
I don't know. I think it's tough because Bean obviously he's produced. Like he had big games last year. Obviously the last 2 weeks they could have won both games. So it's kind of tough because what if JD comes in, he looks rusty, and then the fan base kind of turns on JD, but kind of like is asking Lance like why is Bean not in? He just won the biggest game in KU history. So it's tough because JD could look rusty, but then I feel like we said that against Illinois, who obviously Illinois didn't prove to be really that great of a team, but we were nervous. JD had the back issues going into the season, and then they announced him as the starter against Missouri State. Doesn't play, but he still looks fine against Illinois. He made some crazy plays in that game. So obviously JD's more talented. He's the better decision maker, but yeah, I think it could be tough on Lance because first off, he's going to have a hard time even telling Bean that he's not the starter after what he's done just as a whole at KU.
Yeah, I mean, so what I told AB is like, I get it. On paper, it does look crazy, but there's just no way. I mean, this team, if you plug Jalen Daniels into this team the rest of the season and he's truly healthy, not like it's a different story if the doctor's like, yeah, he can go, but, he's not going to be himself. Yeah, then I may be saying, yeah, let's roll B now. But I think this team, and we're going to get to this, and this is the best part of what we're about to do, I think this team with Jalen Daniels healthy at quarterback can freaking win out and make a Big 12 championship game. Like, I know that even if they do win out, that doesn't guarantee anything, but I think Jalen Daniels we've seen the Big 12. We know what the Big 12 is now. And you cannot tell me there's a single game left on our schedule outside of K-State, but I don't care what you say. There's no way you convince me that K-State is far and above better than us. So it's like, if you tell me we can get Jalen Daniels back at Iowa State, who's actually, Iowa State's solid. We're 1-point favorite as of now. I bet that moves to them being favored by kickoff.
It might have.
They're favored.
Yeah. So I just think you have to go back to Jalen Daniels, and it is not like B-Turn said. We're going to look back on this season and like we probably do not make a bowl game potentially without Jason Bean, because if you're rolling out, I don't know, Cole Ballard, I don't know who would be playing quarterback right now. And so you're definitely not winning against OU. You're probably not winning against UC. I don't know, UCF. Right.
I think we would have.
I could play quarterback and we'd have won that game. But
yeah,
my point is like Bean has been massive. But
still has 30 wins.
Exactly what we needed him to do. But now if JD's ready, you go to him.
Yeah, and it's just wild what JD's capable of. I mean, last year he obviously sat for a while, looked a little rusty late in the year. But then the bowl game, he did something like we've never seen. Like he set bowl game records. So he's capable of just massive nights. He's a great decision maker, moves the chains. Like KU is so freaking good on third downs when he's the quarterback. So yeah, he's capable, I think, of beating most teams in the country. So yeah, I guess just like what, if you guys are Lance, like what's going through your head? What do you think is going through his head?
Well, I forgot to make my last point, which goes with this. If I'm Lance, I'm sitting there thinking, okay, we've got Iowa State. It's a 1-point game. It's going to be a very close, stressful game. And then maybe hopefully Cincinnati's not stressful, and hopefully Texas Tech's not stressful. But you got to think they're all probably going to be single-digit games in the fourth quarter. So to me, AB's literally growling like a dog at these takes, so I'm excited to hear. But like my point is, we feel pretty good, and I think based on that reaction, AB, that you feel pretty good about us playing in 4 close games to end this season. And there's no, you're the reverse. But either way,
my throttle 2 of them.
My point is, if we are in close games, I want Jalen Daniels on the football field. I just do. The guy is nails in big moments. And even though I know Jason Bean was clutch on that 4th and 6, I don't think Jason Bean can sit and film this week and look at Lance and say, hey, I deserve that job over Jalen this week. It's not that Bean was horrific, but I don't know. We were very close to having a whole podcast about how Jason Bean single-handedly lost us that football game. And so that's just, it's more of how much I trust Jalen Daniels. Mm-hmm. I'm just so ready for the Jalen Daniels experience to happen again, because
it's fun.
I think we can go 4-0 in this season, and who knows what happens. So let's just end that conversation. And AB, unless you have more on that. But let's talk about.
Well, I have one random thing. I have one rant about the OU game. This is, you guys will have no idea what I'm talking about. Because it happened on the broadcast. And anyone that watched at home will know what I'm saying. OU had the ball. It was right before Gabriel. Gabriel that scored, and then there was I guess the ball hit the ground and came out at the end. But whatever, OU scored to take the lead again. It was 2:30, and that's when the broadcast was supposed to end, which is crazy anyways. But they just cut out of the game and went to a Jungle Law commercial and then 2 other commercials. They come back from the game. KU's already got the ball back, or OU's going for 2 at that point. I had no idea what happened. I saw Braiden tweeted something about a fumble and Lance being upset. No idea what he was talking about because I saw Jungle Law on TV while OU's inside the 5.
Oh, what's that?
It was
What
real
was
bad.
that fumble?
Yeah, because no one said
It was
anything on
the
Twitter,
dude.
so that-
He was definitely down. The guy reached
It was the
across,
right
the ball across.
Lance-
and then, Lance.
After- No, yeah, they scored, and then Lance on the sideline, it was a clear touchdown.
Mhm.
He was across the plane, the ball, the ground forced the ball to move.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm trying to say, but Lance, after they scored, I know he does this all game. He was pissed at the following him up and down the sideline, pointing at him to come over here. So I didn't know what it was because I knew that was a clear touchdown, but people around us obviously were mad because, like I said, the refs. The breaks didn't quite go KU's way the entire day, so everyone's just going to be fired up no matter what. But yeah, that I don't know. I just didn't know what Lance was that upset about. Maybe it was a penalty on the play, but I didn't know.
I mean, the Jungle Law. It's just so funny that it was Jungle Law. In that big of a
Imagine
moment.
they're flying over the booth with a banner too.
What a time for Jungle Law! Getting the absolute best money's worth they could have possibly got for that ad. So.
One more question about the game that we kind of talked about when Venables pussied out and didn't try to score. What was that timeout by Lance? And people kept saying he called timeout to yell at the refs. I mean, dude, wait 20 seconds and let the play clock run out and then call timeout. And yell.
Maybe he knew Venables was soft.
I guess, but dude, God, it made me so mad. And it was at the point where OU was rolling, and we got to get 7. We didn't get 7 because we can't score inside the 5 sometimes. But yeah, no, I just wanted to, is there any worry about clock management stuff? I know there was some of that last year. Just game management in general.
I'm not sure with him. I just have scars from Andy Reid, which one of the best coaches ever, but he did it again today, and it somehow benefited the Chiefs. But yeah, that was, Ryan knows. I guess Ryan hasn't watched enough sports with me. He was shocked that I was mad during the game, but
Broke his hand when KJ Lawson hit a 3 in the
I mean,
that was a different story.
Money, that was all based around gambling, and maybe this was too, but
that timeout was bad.
Beecher was angry. He was very angry little man, not little man, just an angry man.
That was a really weird timeout, and I just noticed it right away. And I'm kind of forgetting the situation, but we obviously could have took off 30 more seconds, or maybe Venables should have called one or something.
Yeah,
Venables should have. We kicked the field goal. Yeah. I mean, that was the worst part, as you call it. It was a classic David Beatty moment, right, where you call timeout and punt, or you call timeout and then I know we called a timeout and then ran another play, right?
Yeah.
So it wasn't completely Beatty who was calling timeouts and then trotting the field goal unit out. Oh, my God. But, yeah, I mean, it was bad, but I don't want to waste too much time on that because, it really didn't matter. And to answer your question about clock management, here's the thing. At the end of that football game, one team had 3 timeouts left, and it saved them and it allowed them to win the game. Venables had 2 left because he blew one early in the second half. I don't even remember why. So, when it mattered, Lance was...
Well, I have questions about the clock management on the KU drive to end the game as well.
What, scoring?
No, not even really that.
Talk about that though.
There was 2 minutes left in the game, and we're acting like there's 20 seconds. Jason Bean probably had a few more yards, and we know that's just him. He doesn't want to get hit, runs out of bounds. The pass to Fairchild, he had at least 5 yards and could have taken a dude one-on-one. Maybe he breaks through. He catches it and steps out of bounds right at. There's 1:45 to go.
I will
run some clock. You want to burn the clock because it almost happened. Oh, you can go down the field in 2 seconds and score. I would score in 8 seconds. We don't have that flexibility because we couldn't just score when we wanted to in the red zone. So we had to score regardless, and I didn't want it to come down to a field goal at that point.
No.
But
If KU's
been in,
lining
it's
up,
fine. But yeah, like the stepping out of bounds, like immediately, like we had to go down in 25 seconds was a little annoying.
if KU's lining up like literally for an 18-yard field goal, what's going through your head with the way that day went and the extra points in Stillwater and it's rainy?
I mean,
But yeah, they were
done a pretty solid job, but yeah, terrifying.
But yeah, OU was obviously letting us score, which they should have been. But I think you just need to score at that point. But yeah, I don't. That's just a situation that I feel like you could get a bunch of different takes on. Like us three could all have conflicting takes on that. I feel like you should personally fall short of the end zone. But like you said, like I said, like the field goal unit, you're just going to be nervous no matter what. So do you just go ahead and score, or do you fall at the one, let time? I don't know how many timeouts they had left, and then do you let time tick off and run another play, and then you got to worry about weather, like handing it off and stuff. But so I just didn't know what your guys' take was on that whole situation.
I would have loved if Neal fall, and I don't even know. I feel like Neal kind of was just a little shocked almost that he got through that far and was going to score. So I didn't care because to me, I didn't want it coming down into the wind, rain. You've already missed a field goal. OU's got who knows? OU may block the punt. And the other thing I felt decent about it is, like I said, Gabriel had hardly thrown the ball at all. Like, I wasn't totally sold that OU was just going to come down and sling the ball around and go on an 80-yard drive to win the game. Now, they completed one just Hail Mary prayer of a pass, which I can't believe we allowed to happen. But I was fine with scoring. But it was quickly terrifying. AB, you mentioned clock management. I thought if I were going to question anything, I just thought it was weird. Like it's so hard to keep track of all the possessions late in that fourth quarter. But like, I think it was like the first pick being through, or maybe the second, probably first. It felt like there was like 2 minutes, 50 seconds left, and we kind of abandoned the run and started falling in love with the pass, which is what led to the interception. So I don't know if you call that clock management or like game awareness, but I remember us all being frustrated with that. But I don't know.
You were mad. You were mad that I was saying we should run. You were saying there's 2 minutes. They got to go quick.
I'm looking at it right now. Yeah, it was 2:45, and they just picked up a first down after multiple runs with Bean. Then Luke Grimm had a catch on 4th and 4. First and 10 from midfield, 2:45 left. Incomplete pass that should have been picked, and then the pick.
Dude, so he completed 2 big fourth downs then. I forgot Grimm was on 4th down.
That one was quickly forgotten because of what happened 3 plays later, but it was clutch in the moment.
Yeah, I have to know, like, what was going through your guys' head when they did convert that long bomb. They called a PI, he still caught it, and then on the last play of the game, I think it was whatever from the 23 last play of the game. Like, were you convinced they were going to score, or did you feel okay?
I didn't flag.
I felt good when it came to the final play. I felt good, but I was very nervous that they were going to complete that pass because how many plays did they run between that and the very final pass? 2.
And they got like a penalty on the first play, so then they started at like the 15 or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I was just like, I felt like they were gonna, like, that was almost gonna snap them into like Gabriel. I was pretty terrified when they completed that pass. Now, when it came down to the final play of the game, after we got a couple stops, Nick just said they ran 3 plays after that. I mean,
the first one after was like that little. It took forever to develop, and it ended up just dumping it down to the running back who ran for 5 yards, but it took like 10 seconds off the clock.
Terrible. I mean,
the other thing that was crazy to me, maybe our pass rush is just better than I thought. We were getting home on that 2 Hail Mary attempts like immediately. The first one, I can't remember if it was Booker or who. Booker hit him on the end of the game maybe, but there was one, the guy, like Gabriel's trying to throw, and he underthrew it by 10 yards because he got hit 2 seconds into his drop back. Crazy.
That's the thing. Like, we've spent this whole episode and obviously talking about Jason Bean, but like the defense was phenomenal in that second half, especially. And yeah, like you said, they did not make that easy. Whereas like, I can't believe, like, I know where Bean made a great pass on the 4th and 6 or whatever, AB, or B turn, but like, how was Arnold that open? It was like they were running a prevent offense or defense, but we only needed a field goal. Like, even if Arnold doesn't run after the catch, we're probably winning that
Close to field goal. Yeah.
That was weird.
What was your guys' confidence level in the kicking game? Where did you guys think we had to get to attempt a field goal? Because I was thinking inside anything outside of the 10-yard line, I would be convinced that he would miss, and anything outside of scoring a touchdown, I would be horrified leading up to that kick.
There's so many variables there too.
I needed inside 39 yards. Inside 40.
That he just missed a 43-yard short.
And he's like, there's a lot of variables too, because the wind's coming at his face. He's kicking balls like too low, like that's on those extra points in Stillwater. I felt like he did it again on Saturday on the field goal to end the half. But yeah, it was like I didn't want to kick a field goal at all. That's why I don't really have that many issues with going with just Neil getting in the end zone. But yeah, I want on the defense. Jesus, I forgot what I was going to say, but no. So going into halftime, 21-17, they had the ball coming out, which maybe that's why Venables just went into halftime. But we come out and we're at halftime. We're like, dude, if they score here, it's 28-17. We're probably done. And they're just getting stops after stops, and the offense really didn't do much for OU. So yeah, the defense was tremendous, and they got every big stop. Like they could have went up 2 scores very easily on us multiple times, because I don't think we even scored after that stop. So they got multiple stops where an OU could have went up 2 scores.
Oklahoma had 13 drives when you take out the kneel down at the end of the half, and they only scored 33 points. That feels like a giant win for the defense.
Yeah, so what were their so think about their scores in the second half then, because they had 21 at half, and then one of them came off of Bean's pick where they started at like the 15, and then what was the other one? Was
that the one where Gabriel scored, or is that?
Pull it up.
They scored 2 touchdowns, I think, because they didn't get either 2-point conversion. So I'm trying to think where the other touchdown.
They had a drive early, so they fumbled. Then Bean had the long touchdown run for us to go up 5, and then OU went 75 yards. And I'm trying to even. They had a big pass to Drake Stoops for like 40 yards. Other than that, it was short.
Yeah, and then one of them was a fumble. We think we recovered inside the 10. One of them was a dropped kickoff from Trevor Wilson where they scored really quickly. So that's 3 touchdown drives right there that like Bean at least handed them 1. So yeah, our defense was great. Like they had success running it there for a little bit around halftime, but then they got every big stop imaginable. And then the 3 and out after Bean threw that pick on the screen, they could have wrapped it up right there and the game's over. I'm sure OU fans thought it was over, but yeah, the defense was just really good.
Yeah, huge. And so we've got to talk. I mean, we've already gone 53 minutes here, and I still want to talk about what the future could possibly hold for this football team. And I think the fact that, we've mentioned the defense. Booker looks like a straight up pro out there.
Dude.
He's phenomenal. And like AB said, we looked better than Oklahoma, an Oklahoma team that just beat Texas like 2 or 3 weeks ago, an Oklahoma team that had a chance to make the college football playoff until we beat them. It is not at all crazy, and we have been doing this now for 2 years, where we get done with a win, and we all get on here, and we kind of joke around, we kind of get really excited. Nick said it on the last pod when he filled in for you guys. It was something like Louisville, or I can't even remember who said it. It's like day one, or the Monday after a game, you're feeling one way. Tuesday, you're feeling a little better. Wednesday, you're feeling better, and then Thursday, you're like convinced you're gonna win the conference, and by Friday, I butchered the hell out of that quote, but by Friday, you're convinced you're going to win the national championship. And like, that is classic what we do. If we, by the end of a week, we are so sold on Kansas football doing major things, and we've been laughed at. Some of our listeners absolutely love it, but here's our chance to legitimately discuss the possibility of Kansas winning out and playing in a Big 12 title game. I guess, AB, I'm sure you've dug into this. Do you know a route that makes you feel good?
I'll tell you the one, and I don't know if this is the easiest path, but it's definitely the one I've thought about the most due to hype and excitement for a certain game. Let's go into my hypothetical world here and imagine K-State beats Texas this week in Austin. without Quinn Ewers. Not impossible. I think it's like a 6-point spread. Like they could absolutely win that game.
Yeah.
KU wins in Ames. KU beats Texas Tech at home next week. K-State beats Baylor next week. Right there, we're looking at 8-2 KU versus 8-2 K-State. K-State 6-1 in the conference. KU's 5-2 in the conference. That gives Iowa State another loss, Texas another loss. The only other two teams above KU in the standings are Oklahoma and Oklahoma State, who play each other next week. And let's just root for Boomer Sooner because we got the tiebreaker of them if it comes to it. But that's my whole thing. Can you just imagine that game in Lawrence, Kansas, KU, K-State? Both teams at that point would probably be top 15.
Top 15, it's game day, 100%.
Yeah. Oh.
So,
man.
What if, obviously, we want to look at that KU, K-State matchup with, like, both of us. What if Texas beats K-State? Like, that would still help us, right? And there's going to be...
seems like the more realistic route, isn't it?
Because even we wouldn't be, like, technically in trouble, right? If Texas wins, because at that point, you just probably assume Texas is in the game.
We've got to assume
it's going to be another team regardless.
Well, there's 5 teams that are 4-1 right now. Oklahoma, Iowa State, Oklahoma State, Texas, K-State. If KU takes care of business, that's 2 of them that are gone. You're just going to have to hope that I don't know. I mean, honestly, our best route to get in is probably to play Oklahoma State in the championship. Is that crazy? KU, Oklahoma State this year? If Oklahoma State wins in Bedlam next week and OU has 2 losses and Texas loses to K-State, they have 2 losses. The tiebreakers are crazy. I have no idea what they are, what they could be, what they will be. It's so hard to pick this apart right now because there's 7 teams within 1 game of first place. So I don't even know how to approach it, to be honest. But
yeah, and God, dude, the issue is Oklahoma State, if they win this weekend, they are not losing again. I mean, they're
they got OU.
Yeah. So if they beat OU, Oklahoma State, to me, they've got a bad Houston team. They've got They
got all the newcomers. They got BYU still.
But if they win and then Texas loses to K-State, then Texas has 2. That means OU has 2 losses. We would have 2. K-State has what? Who have they lost to? Oklahoma State. Is that it?
Yeah, they lost to Mississippi as well.
Yeah. So, yeah,
I think we're going to have to win out, and we're going to have to hope for some help, too, I think. I don't know what the tiebreakers are going to look like, but if it's highest-ranked team, we're probably not going to beat out Texas, at least.
So would you agree that here on out, K-State probably has the toughest schedule of all the teams left?
None of them look that horrifying, to be honest.
K-State's got to go to Texas. They've got Baylor. They've got to go to the booth. People forget, have not lost there yet this year. And then they've got to go, or then they've got Iowa State, who
Farmageddon, they're real rival.
Happen there. So I'm not saying K-State's it's gonna be a gauntlet, but if there was any team on the list that you could say could easily drop 2 or lose 2 more games, it would be them. I think, other than maybe, not us. We're not losing 2 more games. No chance.
Let me tell you one thing. I just looked it up with our friends at DraftKings just to see what the odds were for the Big 12 championship.
Yeah.
We're still 35-1, boys. Still quite the long shot.
Why did I jump to the Big 12 championship? Why did I do this? Why didn't we just start with can we win 8 games? Can we win 9 games? Can we win? But I guess I forget. I forget how much some of the teams suck. UCF is terrible. Houston's terrible.
Also, I know these combos are crazy, and last year we were pretty nuts for talking about Arlington because we just weren't there yet. But, dude, we just talked about it. We were better than Oklahoma, one of the biggest brands in the country, obviously one of the best teams in the league. And our quarterback didn't play that well. A lot of things went against us. And then even in Austin, they had 650 yards. We didn't have our quarterback, and it was a 1-possession game with late in the 3 minutes left in the third quarter. So they've shown they can compete and they can beat anyone. Even we said that about TCU last year where we were in that game late. So I don't think it's crazy to have those combos, but it's just wild that we've closing the gap that much compared to the top teams in the Big 12 this quickly. And obviously I want to win out, but a thought and conversation I had with some friends yesterday was 9-3, and you have a bowl game to win double digits, 10 wins, and they'd go 10-3, like year 3 in the Leipold era.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably the more realistic thing we should be talking about, but I just feel like this was the one time it was like not crazy to talk about a route to the Big 12 title because the Big 12 is chaos. But yeah,
a lot more this week.
And teams up top play each other, like KU, K-State, Oklahoma State, Oklahoma, Texas, K-State. So yeah, I don't want to go through every game individually and just break down the teams, but I guess AB and Rye, obviously, but talk to me how you feel about the remaining 4 games. Like, who do we win them all? Do we lose 1 or 2? Who are you most nervous about?
I think I'm very worried about the turnaround from such an emotional win over OU. You're going in against Iowa State, who's not flashy, and it's kind of felt like Iowa State had gone from like that up and coming program, and now we've kind of like taken their spot as that storyline in the conference, and Matt Campbell is kind of just sitting there lingering. Still really good coach. Half their team got kicked off the team for gambling. Just kidding. But they had all that stuff going on, but like they've sneaky been good. And so that's the game I'm worried about, is like, are we going to show up to a crazy environment and just kind of be stunned at how good and physical and tough this Iowa State team is? So that game does scare me. But the thing I'm trying really hard to do is not let past, we've said it time and time again, but not let past experiences where when we showed up for big 12 games, it was like we were just not there physically, talent-wise, anything. We are now. We are. We belong on the same field as Iowa State. We've been better than Iowa State this season, I think. And if Jalen Daniels is playing, I think that takes it to a whole another level. So I would say outside of obviously the K-State one, the Iowa State one is very much, I'm worried that, not that we won't take them serious, but maybe we just don't know how truly good that they could be. And it's a road game. So I don't know. What do you think, AB?
Yeah, I kind of agree. It's like the biggest natural letdown spot in the history of the world. But again, like, kind of speaks to like, we want JD back. If JD comes back, does that give the team a whole nother boost, or does that make it a distraction that they're changing things up? Like, I wouldn't think so. Everyone loves JD. So like, if
yeah.
And that's what kind of makes me think, like, if he is back, different game plan, they're really moving on because it's a completely different look than it was literally yesterday. But I don't want to, like, get in my mind too much about JD coming back or not, because at this point, frankly, I don't know how you guys feel. I'm tired of thinking about it. I'm tired of talking about it, and I'm tired of worrying about it. I'm just waiting until Saturday. Whoever goes out, and that's going to determine my mood for the rest of the weekend.
I think I'll be at the same point as you are right now mentally if he does not play Saturday.
Yeah.
For me, not playing him Saturday against OU kind of felt like, well, if we lose to OU, we're okay. It's really these next 4 games that we really need to go get. Give him an extra week. But you're now in a spot where we just talked about where the odds are stacked against you, but you're still in a spot where if you went out, you can make the Big 12 title game. And if he was available, if needed on Saturday and doesn't play this Saturday, yeah, I'm kind of just over it. Like, there's something that would just be very weird to me. So I don't know. What about you, B-Turn?
I don't know what I'm supposed to answer, but I'm just sitting here thinking, like, we need JD I feel like we need him Saturday in that environment. Like, yeah, Bean is the older QB, more experience. I can't even think of too many road games that JD has won. Obviously, he won at Texas as a youngin', but it just feels like an environment that's obviously going to be crazy. Jack Trice, like, Iowa State fans, as much as they bother me, they're nuts. Even if for the Big 12 tournament they show up, like, their fans, they show up, they're loud. Hilton's crazy. Like, that place at night is wild. So it feels like a game we need JD's decision making and composure. And I hate to do this, but I wanted to say it on the Oklahoma State preview episode. But Jason Bean in his career has 1 road win as a starter, even including North Texas. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. And I mean,
I hate to be negative. I'm just,
that's the thing.
JD.
That's the thing about Jalen Bean or Jason Bean is that it's mental. It's not talent. It is mental. But the thing about it is Jalen Daniels won at Houston last year. He won at West Virginia in a huge, overtime game. You nailed it. But now's the time. It is time for Jalen Daniels to play and to be the starting quarterback at Kansas, because we now have a 4-game stretch ahead of us that could end up being, the best ending to a season ever. Even if we drop one, and like you said, we end 9-3, what bowl game are we going to in that scenario? We are officially in a spot where this season could be extremely, extremely special, and I cannot handle another game where Jalen Daniels does not play. He needs to be out there. He needs to.
And like you tweeted, Big 12 preseason player of the year, and we're out here beating technically the best team in the league, at least record-wise and ranking-wise. And at Texas, like I said, we had a chance. I tell myself that we couldn't have won without JD no matter what, but who knows? That whole game plan was wrecked. But yeah, without the Big 12 preseason player of the year, when you have Quinn Ewers, Dylan Gabriel, Will Howard, all of them hasn't really been playing, and they're still beating premier programs, is wild to me. So yeah, I wanted to ask, and you guys can answer it quickly, but what do you think the percentages are KU plays in the Big 12 title game if they win out?
Based on the odds, I just go off Vegas, and I'm pretty gutted that those are the odds. I knew we were I would have thought it was closer to 20-1.
To win it, it's 35-1.
Oh, to win it.
Yeah.
Oh, I was going to say, that sounded so wrong to me. So what is it to make they don't have that?
I didn't look. But it's got to be because we're underdogs this week. I bet we're underdogs against K-State.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Vegas still loves Tech for some reason. We'll probably be a pretty close line for that one. So it's probably a lot of, we don't get to play Houston. We don't get to play Baylor, UCF again. A little bit of a tougher route considering the bottom of the Big 12, I guess.
Yeah. I don't know. Like I said, I think it's a long shot because a lot would have to happen. Some good teams would have to lose to some bad teams in the process. But there's nothing more fun. It's same with the NCAA tournament, talking about your route to a Final Four, or talking about your route to a 1 seed, or what needs to happen in this conference tournament to get there. I just want that to be a thing these next few weeks. You win this week, and then we're sitting here saying, all right, well, Oklahoma State beat OU, so now here's what we need to happen. I don't know the odds, but I just want to stay in the game. I want to have a chance, and I want that K-State game. If it happens like we laid it out to where 8-2 versus 8-2, top 15 teams, and I know we need to wrap up, so we shouldn't spend a lot of time on this, but that's the biggest. Is that the biggest Sunflower Showdown ever? It has to be.
That's the biggest football game in the history of Lawrence, Kansas.
Can you imagine having the implications in the last game of the year against Cincy? If you win, you have a chance to make the Big 12 title. I will be nervous as a mother.
Because they're not good, but it'll be.
They're not that bad. Yeah, I don't know. Regardless, though, having something to play for every week, you're never. If you win week by week, you're not going to be out of the race. At Oklahoma State, it felt like when we lost, that was the end of the world, and I wanted to cry, and I did, and I melted down, and it felt like the Big 12 title race was over. But teams are going to beat up on each other. Like we said, K-State plays a couple Big 12 title contending teams the rest of the year. So teams are obviously going to lose. If you win out, I think you have a chance.
Yeah. I was going to say, before we wrapped up, I was very proud of us for not talking about how much it sucked that we could be 7-1.
Ryan.
And we're not going to talk about it. I'm just going to say
you brought it up to end the episode.
I'm proud of us for not talking about it. It was very mature of us. So credit to us for not wasting 30 minutes talking about that. And now we can't because we have to go. But
and also Oklahoma State's a good football team. We didn't think they were. South Alabama pumped them at home, but yeah, they're 6-2. Gunny's a great coach. Ollie Gordon is a freak. So
this is back-to-back years. I've given you guys a sleeper to win the Big 12 at the beginning of the year, and they both have looked very good. TCU last year, Oklahoma State this year. Sorry, boys.
I'll never understand the South Alabama game, but whatever.
No.
Imagine finishing 10-2, regardless.
Yeah,
if you're playing a Big 12 title game or not.
Yeah. So let's wrap this up. This was fun, but the good news is we've got a lot of football still to talk about. We're getting to the point where we can start researching bowl locations, scenarios like that. So I can't believe we're in a spot that we are. We're 6-2. We just beat a top 10 team, and our starting quarterback is not even back yet. And I think he's going to be back this Saturday against Iowa State. So that's all I got. B-Turn, you have anything else you want to add, or are we just ready to wrap this up?
No, I just wanted to say Hawks are bowling in back-to-back years for the second time in program history that they've been bowling back-to-back years. But yeah, I was going to say we should do our research on bowls and see like what Big 12 teams have won close to 9 or so games. Like I thought about K-State playing Bama last year, which was pretty wild. Their fans were obviously pumped, but that took them winning the Big 12 title. So I don't know how that would work. But yeah, it'd be fun to play like a powerhouse, and hopefully not everyone sits. But yeah, still a lot more to play for than a bowl game.
And hopefully like Florida. I'm not trying to go to a cold weather state, but we'll see.
The two projections on ESPN right now are KU versus Texas A&M in Houston, or KU versus Maryland and Phoenix. So that should work for the warmer weather location, I guess.
Yeah.
Phoenix would be sick. You could play as much golf as you want in the middle of December.
Seriously, I'd just go for the week. All right. Well, that's it. We'll talk more bowl games next week, but thank you for listening, and we'll be back next week. Rock Chalk.